Welcome to episode 9 of the Clever Dicks podcast. In this episode, Jim and Duncan talk to Sue and Leigh Sherwin down in Taupo. We talk about her competitive swimming when she was young, swimming Taupo, and then the rest of the New Zealand Triple Crown. We talk to her about her ice swimming and also why a 2-kilometre ice swim was harder than any Triple Crown swim. Not many grandmothers have done what Sue has done. She is an inspiration to all of us. Enjoy. Welcome to another episode of Clever Dicks. In this episode, we're speaking to Sue and Leigh Sherwin. Welcome, Sue and Leigh.
Thank you.
Really good to have you on us. So, Duncan?
Cool. So, Sue, we've done a little bit of swimming together over the last couple of years.
Yep.
My first introduction to you was on an IOB going to Rangitoto, where you proceeded to kick my butt around Rangitoto Island. But 4 years ago?
Yeah, it probably was 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
That was my first introduction to you two, and quite amazingly enough, we both swam at a very similar pace.
Yep.
I did leave you behind a few places.
You did?
I tried to let you catch up.
Yeah. I pretended to be tired, but I was actually just absolutely exhausted and couldn't keep up with you. Yeah.
So Leigh, how do you feel about the amount of chatter that's going on at the moment? Is it justified, or are these guys both bullshitting us?
Just to me,
just total bullshit most of the time with it.
I've greased her up a couple of times with lube and all sorts of sunblock.
Well, that's the thing about open water swimming, isn't it? You do go touchy-feely with a lot of people.
100%.
Yeah.
It's that age-old joke where you bump into a fellow swimmer at the supermarket and you're like, hey, I didn't recognise you with your clothes on, right? And your kids are like, Dad, what are you talking about, right? So,
yeah.
So Sue, give us a bit of a background. You were swimming as a youngster. You had a bit of a history with going across to the States, and you did a little bit of NCAA, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe give us a little bit of your history and a quick sort of summary as to how you've got to where you are now.
Yeah. Grew up in Taupo,
Yep.
and swam with the Taupo Swimming Club.
Yep.
And did a float with Margaret Sweeney at one of those Christmas floats.
Yep.
And she was quite an inspiration. I thought it was pretty cool. She talked to me and whatnot. And that kind of stuck in the back of my mind as to doing the length of Taupo.
Yep.
But then so when I was competitive swimming, there was no time to do that sort of thing.
Yep.
I represented New Zealand from the time I was 14, but
And that was in the pool, right?
that was in the pool.
What
yeah.
strokes did you swim?
Swam freestyle, sort of anything from 100 to 1500, but
Yep.
sort of more the 400, 800, 1500.
All right, cool. So through end of high school, obviously made a decision or got approached, I would imagine, to go and do some swimming in the States.
Yep. So I was on the New Zealand team that was swimming against and with the University of Houston team.
Yep.
So they trained with us for 2 weeks, and then we had a big swimming meet at the end of it.
Yep. Here in Taupo.
Here, and no, that was at the camp was in Auckland.
Okay.
And at the end of that, they offered me a scholarship. So I went to Australia and did the Australian National Champs.
Yep.
And I was 18 at the time. I stood up in the blocks beside this Australian chick who said, "What are you doing here, Grandma?"
You were 18 and she was like 14 or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Because back then, pretty much everyone gave up swimming at 16,
Okay.
unless you were an Olympian or whatever. So, but I beat her and I won it.
Nice.
So it was,
Granny kicked ass. Yeah. Granny's still kicking ass. Yeah. Okay, cool. Nice.
Yeah. So got home from that. Mum had packed my bags and I was off on the plane to Houston.
I'm assuming this is pre-Leigh, right? You
No.
hadn't met Leigh at that stage. You were dating?
We were dating at high school.
Just kissing and holding hands though, right?
Yes.
Absolutely. Cool. So you stayed here and Sue went... Okay. And you were happy with that?
Not totally, but
Yep.
yeah.
Was
Didn't have much choice.
Was there plans for you to like go and join Sue, or like what was the deal?
We were,
She was
was 16, 17 at that stage, so Yeah.
So she was like, listen, Lee, swimming is my number one priority. I'll sort you out later. You're second in the list.
I don't think that was the. I think I'm going to the States, and we'll see where we are when we come back. Going out and then having swimming the next morning for Sue, silly o'clock was.
Tricky business.
The
Yeah.
thing
Okay.
is that I was training for the Moscow Olympics.
Yep.
And when Russia invaded Afghanistan, the States decided to boycott the Olympics, and so did most of the Western countries.
Yep.
New Zealand had this, yeah, we're going to go, and then, no, we're not going to go. So
Yep.
I probably didn't train as well as I could have done if I'd actually been focused.
Cool. You popped a champagne bottle. Sue was back.
We was at university at that stage, and Sue joined.
Yeah.
That's Waikato, and
Yeah.
Sue finally came back, and we met up again.
Cool. So, so I would imagine during that process, obviously, dated. I would imagine a couple of years down the line, marriage, kids,
Yeah.
and
Far too fast for your
no more swimming.
Yeah.
How long was it?
Oh, not very long, because I was 21 when I got married. So
Okay, so
yeah.
and then I would imagine the same old story for most people. Life gets in the way.
Yep.
You've got 4 kids.
4 kids.
Yep.
7 years apart. 7 years from the oldest to the youngest.
Yep.
So pretty busy.
Hectically busy,
Yep.
and obviously just houses,
Yep.
school teacher, the whole
Yep.
shebang.
And we went and did some swimming coaching in there as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you then had your daughter Kim, who successfully swam the length of Lake Taupo.
Yep.
Now tell me about that. I mean, were you a second? Did you assist her with her training? Like what was that about?
Yeah. She'd moved down to Christchurch at that stage, and
Yep.
she did most of her training down there.
Yep.
And but we were both on the boat with
Yep.
her.
How old was she?
24.
Okay,
Like that.
cool. 24, 25. Yep.
Yeah, something around about there.
Yep.
Yeah. And so
Now at that stage you would have been how old?
34. No.
Just for reference, Sue is a maths teacher, right? Okay. If your kids have been through
54.
Sue's class, refunds are available. Yes.
Kim is our youngest child.
I was 54. That's what I meant to say.
To be fair to you, Sue, and the listeners, right? Today was the epic swim, and Sue has just completed swimming the epic, which is 17 kilometers. So she may be a little bit poked and a little bit tired, hence the maths may be not fair.
15.
So,
I didn't actually do the 2.5.
okay, 15.
Slack.
All right.
It's still impressive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing swim.
Yeah.
Okay, so what did it feel like watching Kim swim Lake Taupo? I would imagine that sparked a couple of flames.
It kind of did, but I still didn't believe that I could do it.
Okay.
Because I was, at that stage, I'd done a number of 3K swims in the Ocean Swim Series, and
Yep.
and that was pretty much it.
Yep.
I think we'd done one 10K swim, and that just about killed me.
Okay.
But the following year, actually watching her was amazing, because she just started and she just did clockwork the whole way through and just
Yeah.
never faltered.
Okay.
And then she got out, she danced around on the beach. It's like, how the hell do you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. But the following year I did the Epic, and I swam around with Katrina Price at Acacia Bay round and round in circles,
Yep.
and kept pace with her, and
Yeah.
I thought, oh, she's done Taupo,
Yep.
I can do Taupo.
Yep.
And so then I rang Phil,
Yep.
and yeah, the rest is history. As
The
far as
rest
that
is
goes.
the rest is
Yeah.
history, right? So the history is what? Lake Taupo, Cook Strait, Foveaux Strait.
Yeah.
We'll get to the ice swimming later, but that's
Yep.
that's the Triple Crown of New Zealand. tell me about cooks, or tell me about the first one was Taupo.
Yep.
So
we were a bit late going to bed because we were all having a good chat the night before, as you do.
More things change, the more they stay the same. Yes, thank you, Lee.
And then a few hours later, I'd gone to sleep and I heard this noise coming from the bathroom, and it was Lee chucking his guts. So I said, "You're not coming on the boat?" And he said, "Well, I'll drive you there and drop you off." Well, I got to the end of the thing and I went, my stomach's not feeling quite that great, but not to worry. I'm feeling fine. It's, as you tell yourself, maybe it's just nerves or whatever. So I got it and started, and a couple of hours later, I chucked my guts big time, projectile vomiting. So,
no.
I must admit, I wasn't the cause. I was the victim as well.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And
You're a canary in the birdcage.
Yeah.
Something you ate?
I ate very little.
Yep.
I drank mostly the lake water on the way through.
Yep.
I had a little bit of electrolyte drink.
Yep. How long did it take you to swim it?
It took me 14 and a half hours.
Yep.
I had some Coke at one stage and some lollies.
So
towards the end, but mostly I drank
okay.
water.
So without being disrespectful, because I think you've probably changed a little bit over the last couple of years, but even that swimming feeding plan is a bit old school, right?
Oh yeah.
So drinking the lake water, a little bit of Coke,
Yep.
and you swim 40 kilometres, right? That's crazy on its own, right?
That's not all the food she took, though.
You should see the stuff I took on.
Oh,
Yes.
what did she take, Lee?
Well, everything.
Okay.
There was about 6 feeding plans. There was enough on the boat to feed an army.
Okay,
and-
but
But I didn't
because
eat any
you
of it.
had vomited, you didn't. Okay, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Got you.
Mm.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Yep.
So finish the lake swim.
Yep.
As a grandmother,
Yep.
and you decided what? That's not enough.
Well,
I've got
I'd
a
always
bit more
thought
in
that
the
I was
tank.
too slow to do Cook Straight. But I had gone to see Brett Foster
Yep.
while I was doing my training,
Yep.
because I thought, well, I'll get him to just check out my stroke and
Yep.
give me a few pointers and whatnot.
Yep.
And he said, no, you'd be fine doing Cook Straight. There's been lots and lots of people that are way
Yep.
slower than you.
Yep.
So maybe I could do it.
Yep.
So then I set out to do Cook Straight, and I was really lucky. I had a lot of people around that wanted to swim with me and wanted me to swim, and
Yep.
one of them was you, Duncan.
Yes. Yes.
And swimming around Rangitoto, that was a good part of my training for that.
Yep.
And I had a lot of fun in my training. I really loved my training before Cook Straight.
Yep.
That was...
So, from a personal perspective, obviously I've swum with lots of different people, but swimming with you is always, it's not a chore, it's always just a really cool day out. We always have lots of fun, and it never seems to be stressful swimming with you, if that makes any sense. It's always fun, and it's always a case of take your goggles off and we have a look around and take in the scenery, and I've taken a lot of that on board on my own swimming. Jim and I make a point of doing it as well when we swim. We did a morning swim the other day as an example, and we made a point to stop, tread water, take our goggles off and say, Jim, you look absolutely gorgeous today, and you must have a good day, right? So
Well, I think that started from my first harbour crossing.
Yep.
Because hadn't been doing any swimming for at least 20 years.
Yep.
Probably a bit more than that. And got in the pool and counted up to 3k, so I could do 3k in the pool. And I
Yes.
went, okay, I'll give it a go.
Yes. This is like straight out the blocks, first swim back after
My
20
first swim
years.
back after
Yes.
20 years.
3Ks.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, it puts things in
Okay, this is this is the maths teacher vibe again. Okay.
Yeah. So I
How many laps was that, Sue?
A lot. I'll tell you that. Oh dear. But yeah, still inside, and at the start at Devonport, and people started talking to me,
Yeah.
and it was kind of weird. I mean, I know now it seems really, really normal,
Yeah.
and I talked to all sorts of people beforehand and encourage all the newbies.
Yes.
But
Was it weird because as a youngster it was all just super
It was all
serious
serious.
and nobody
Yeah.
spoke? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
you spoke to the people you knew.
Yeah. Okay.
And I got in, I was nervous as hell, but I got halfway across and went, oh God, I'm buggered.
Yeah. This is lap 1, yeah? Of 120,
this was
yes?
still when they went into the Viaduct Harbour?
Yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you sighted off the
Yeah, I think I
Sky
was
Tower.
probably safety on that, yeah.
yeah, Sky Tower. It was one of the first ones, 2006.
Yeah.
So I got halfway across and went, well, I'm halfway across. It's the same distance either way, I might as well keep going. But I stopped and had a look around and I went, wow, we are just so lucky and so privileged to live in a place where you can do these swims and it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And
You're so right.
and just taking that time to stop and evaluate, and then I went on, carried on the rest of it, and the rest of it wasn't too much of a problem. So, if you appreciate the beauty around you, life doesn't become so much of a chore.
Exactly. You agree with that, Lee?
Well, I would have been stuck in traffic that time because I'd drop her off at, being support. You drop them off with their gear. Wait round for the start of the race. Grab all their gear. Go find your car, which was 2 kilometres away. Drive back as fast as you could so you could be at the end with your other gear. And if you're lucky, you got there back before they finished the swim.
You must have done a fair bit of that over the last couple of years.
Lots and lots.
But you love it, right?
Oh yes, as more and more of your families join in the escapades. And
So, just for our listeners, the reason Lee just agreed is he's sitting right next to Sue and he didn't actually have an option.
Oh, but the other cool thing about that is I had my kids with me swimming.
Okay, so it was
And,
just a whole family day out.
we won the family cup. There was a family cup back then.
Okay. Maybe that's why you photographed on the back of the Ocean Swim Series trailer. Maybe it was one of those.
Oh no, that one's from Mount
No,
Holloway with
the cousins.
That was it, with the little ones. Yeah.
My niece and her niece's kids.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we've dragged a lot of family in
Okay.
over the years.
And all of this swimming hasn't inspired you to get swimming?
Well, for a lot of it, I was doing kayaking for Sue, and then being luggage donkey, so one end to the other, because a lot of the swim series wasn't really focused on having anything other than the swimmer.
Yes.
So it was from A to B, and you had to get your gear back from A to B. So if you wanted more than one swimmer, then someone had to fill in the gap. So.
Okay.
Yeah, it was also being non-wetsuit back then created a bit more of a problem because the truck left quite early on, and so if it wasn't particularly good weather,
you were freezing your nuts off. Okay.
So, even when you started doing that, because I was around then, there were a lot of wetsuit swimmers, but you just chose to swim without a wetsuit?
Yeah, I suppose growing up in Taupo and swimming from very early on spring and then through to autumn, I think probably I gained some sort of acclimatisation to cold.
It just wasn't foreign to you. It was kind of an acceptable experience.
I was one of those kids that it didn't matter what the temperature was, I was in the water. If there was water there, I was in.
Have you ever owned a wetsuit?
Yes.
Yeah.
You won one.
I won a wetsuit in the Round the Mount swim.
Okay.
And back then I was a good 20 kgs heavier than I am now.
Yeah.
And being tall and round, they didn't have female wetsuits that would go anywhere near me. So I got a men's one, and it wasn't well fitting anyway.
Must have chafed you and filled with water.
It filled with water, and I felt like a beach whale in it.
Okay.
So I gave it away.
But Sue's got natural buoyancy, you stick her in a pool and she bobs like a cork.
Yes.
Throw me in a pool and I sort of sink below the surface.
Okay. So that what is like opposites attract, right?
Something like that,
Okay. So through this process, you and I somehow got invited to do a cold tour with Simon Freeman.
Yep.
Which was all fun and games, and then it got quite serious quite quickly, and took us through that process and what that was like, and the journey that's taken you on from a cold water swimming perspective.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when Simon asked me if I would go and do some swims down the South Island and some cold lakes, he also added in that we'd be flying over the Southern Alps in a little aeroplane and going up in a helicopter over the Southern Alps, and that's all I heard.
Yep.
And I went, oh yeah, I'll be in.
Once in a lifetime experience, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
No, it was amazing. And we got down there and we swam in a number of cold lakes, and it was freezing because we just weren't used to it. We had done, it was a COVID year.
Yep.
First COVID year, so we hadn't been allowed in the pool, so we'd done quite a lot of winter swimming.
Yep.
But winter swimming in Auckland, you're lucky if you
12
get
degrees,
down to
13
12
degrees,
Yeah. And so we went down with reasonably little preparation, but we swam once or twice a day in various temperature waters, Lake Wakatipu, Lake Hawea, Lake Moke, or Moke Lake, as it is.
Yep.
And Moke was 6 degrees, and we had some interesting times with cameras falling in the water and
I remember that.
And
yes.
IRBs getting blown off course and having
Yes.
to be rescued by swimmers.
Yes, the medic had to be rescued by you. You were towing the boat in. Yes. Okay.
I won't like it if we say
Safety 101. Please do not copy this.
And from what I understand, some of the swimmers didn't enjoy the flight in either.
Some of them threw up a few times, I believe, but we won't mention their names. Yes.
Was that a clever dick?
I don't think it was very clever that day.
No. But in saying that, when we did go up in the helicopter from Te Anau to Lake,
I want to say Anchorage or something like that, but yes, Acheron.
Acheron, yeah, Lake Acheron. And we got out of the helicopter and everyone went trundling off to the lake edge, and I was sitting in the helicopter going, this is stupid. There's knee-depth snow here and we're going to swim. And my mind just went wild. But then I looked at you guys that were at the lake edge.
Yep.
And you all were just chatting away as if nothing was normal.
Cool, calm and collected, 100%. Yeah. Low IQ, no friends, perfect competitor for us swimming. That's why we get along so well, yes.
Yeah, so I thought, well, if they're okay with it, I've got to be okay with it too. So I managed to switch my mind off.
Yep.
And walk out to the lake edge.
Yep.
And Sylvia and Simon and Bex got in and did a swim.
Yep.
And then we said that, Duncan and I said that we would go up to this tree at this little point,
yep.
And then we would turn around and come back again, and we would just do loops to see how far we could go.
Yeah. I know what you're going to say next, but yes. Yes, let's get this over with. Yes.
Yeah. Well, Duncan and I were swimming along quite happily side by side. We get to the tree, I start turning around, and he keeps swimming. So
the impact of cold on people's brains.
So to be fair,
yeah,
we've both got a little bit more experience since then, right?
Yeah.
However, some of the reading that I've done has sort of alluded to the fact that as you start feeling like better and better and really feeling amazing in an ice swim, that's normally when the shit is about to hit the fan, right?
Yeah.
But I hadn't done that reading up until then, so I was having the swim of my life. I was really enjoying it, right? If I recall, we measured the temperature before we all went, and I think we had
4 point something,
just over 4 degrees. Yeah. So it was a proper ice swim.
Mm-hmm.
We ended up doing about 1 kilometre, if I recall.
Yeah.
And I think
most of that I was yelling at you to come back.
You were, yes. I can remember that. Yes. I think the helicopter pilot is still nervous and he remembers it too. In fact, I remember everybody really in a hurry to get off the mountain.
Yeah.
And to your point, we were walking in sort of knee-deep snow.
Yeah.
And I sort of lost my buddies, and I was, after a kilometre in the ice, I was sort of, I had Dar saying, "Hey, are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm cool." And I, in my togs, was sort of fumbling and bumbling up to the helicopter, trying to put dry stuff on, and we did everything wrong, right?
Yeah.
So not we. I did everything wrong,
No,
right?
we as a group. Well,
we did a lot
we were
right. but
adventurous, and we were lucky, but
we had
it
a
wasn't
medic
total.
with us.
Yes.
We had some some supervision. We had some plan Bs, but it was a little bit loose, right?
Yeah.
But it was
at
a
that
hell of a
stage, we didn't
adventure.
know any better.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So thank you to Simon Freeman for taking us, right? Because
That was an amazing trip, and we
was
had
a-
a truckload of fun.
Since then, you have become the secretary of International Ice Swimming Association New Zealand.
No.
What's it called?
Well, no, I'm not a secretary.
What are
I
you?
would not want to be a secretary. I'm events coordinator
Events coordinator.
of
okay.
Ice in New Zealand.
Pretty
Which is international.
Right.
Mother hen.
Aotearoa, yeah.
Yeah.
Mother hen.
Mother hen.
Mother hen.
Yeah.
Lots of emails, lots of nagging.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keeping youngsters in line like
Duncan
clever dicks.
and
yeah.
Jim.
Yes. Yeah. In fact, for the record, Jim is the treasurer of Ice Swimming New Zealand.
The only thing I can say is that's not a problem because there's no treasure.
Exactly. Exactly.
He's trying to find it.
So touch on, if you can, Sue, the stuff that you've learned with the international body and Moran Bakai.
Yep.
By my understanding, I think the way that you and the team have facilitated some of the local events in New Zealand, it's enabled some lessons to be learnt or given to the international body, and they now lean on you for some guidance and some of your expertise with regards to cold water swimming. Is that fair to say?
Yep, that would be fair to say. Since we
Even though
did-
you were 34 when Kim did her. So you
I
were
was-
9 when you had Kim. Yeah, okay, I got you. Okay, yes.
Yeah. Well, after we did our K in the ice water,
Yeah.
the two of us decided, well, if we can do a K, then
Yes.
maybe we can do a mile.
Yes.
So then I set about organising something for Lake Linden the following year.
Yep.
And we, as a committee, did an awful lot of research, and I did a lot of research on ice swimming, and part of that was getting to know Ram and picking his brains big time, and reading all the rules and getting to understand all the rules and why the rules are there. And it's because it is a risky business.
Yep.
And my number one is to get everybody home safely.
Yep.
So sometimes other people think we go over the top,
Yep.
but I'd rather go over the top than and get everyone home safe.
100%.
Yeah. So we did that, and I hand-picked a few people with some suggestions from a bunch of other people, of people we thought that could do an ice mile. And we invited probably about 30 people, and we got 12 swimmers, and we also got a bunch of helpers, Jim and Lee being two of them.
Yep.
Di was our medic again, and everyone completed, all 12 completed 500.
Yep. So again, like Linden, this was July. From a New Zealand weather perspective, that's middle of winter.
Yep.
We had quite comfortably recorded sub 5 degrees Celsius, like within ease. I think we had a couple of days.
Threes.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, threes and low fours were mostly.
Yep.
We had 6 people complete the ice mile, and
Yep.
that was by doing a 500 the first day, a 1K the second day, and
I think
a
it was
mile the third day.
Was it the third day, or did we skip a day and do a mile?
You and I did, because we went down as the organising committee and did something beforehand,
Yes.
so we had that
Okay.
leeway.
Okay.
But
But that
everybody
was-
else did one after the other.
Very small sport, very new sport, but
Yep.
never had New Zealand had 6 guys complete an ice mile in one day or
Yep.
in one
1 weekend.
week.
Yep.
And to my knowledge, up until that, prior to that week, we only had about 4 or 5 Kiwi ice milers.
Yep.
Right? So just within the space of that week, we doubled the number of Kiwis that had done an ice mile, which I think was quite a feat and a pat on your back, right? Because
Yep.
it was an amazing week.
Yeah.
We learned some lessons in terms of the after drop and the reheating and the getting swimmers sort of back to their feet and positive afterwards. I think you guys, Lee and Jim, had learned some lessons with regards to water safety, and the
definitely.
whole, just it's a completely different ball game. Just maybe Lee, take us through that experience from your perspective, being on the boat.
Well, I suppose there's two things, because we use camper vans, so we all drove up together, and we had a little village
Yep.
beside the water, which meant we could take the swimmers straight out from the water into a warm and controlled environment with the medics there.
Yep.
It was definitely challenging on the water. We kept very close to the water's edge.
Yep.
Of course, we had to set up the buoys on the first day, so we
Yep.
and that was some of the challenges of
Yep.
first time we'd been there.
Yep.
And I think we were lucky that our research sort of said this is a good spot, and
Yep.
and it aligned with the good
Yep.
conditions on the
Yep.
lake at the time. And you got the challenges of being out in the open. So although the weather was fine,
The wind.
The wind is quite strong through there. It tunnels down. We got the course aligned with that wind,
Yeah.
which is good.
mean,
But it's you're running IRBs. We had IRBs. We definitely made the decision that we needed IRBs to follow the swimmers.
Yep.
But we got the challenges of IRBs don't like the cold.
Yep.
The motors don't like the cold.
Yep.
So
I can remember us struggling to get them started and keep the motors warm.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think we learned a lot of lessons, like one swimmer at a time. That was a really good lesson when, you got people of different abilities, and all of a sudden as a support crew, you're thinking, okay, so which swimmer I'm going to go with, because just because someone is going faster doesn't mean that they're safer or better off. So
Compulsory tow floats.
compulsory tow. Yeah, there was lots of really good lessons that we learned on that.
And with the cold, from swimming okay to not swimming okay is very, very quick.
Yes.
Yeah. You've got to be. It's almost like this person is not looking good. I'm moving in now.
So, how do you feel when you're watching Sue swim an ice mile?
So I've done a lot of Ks in an IRB beside Sue. So
Yep.
it started out with kayak beside Sue.
Yep.
And as the distance got longer, it was, we purchased our own IRB, and
Yep.
and so.
But so
I know Sue's stroke, and and normally when she's in the water, it's it's metronome type
Yep.
stuff.
Yep.
So
so you can spot her starting to turn when she's starting to struggle from
I
the cold?
haven't seen. The only time I've seen Sue really struggle in the cold water
Yep.
was St. Bethan's.
The 2 kilometre.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there was like a subhuman feat to do that.
Yeah.
Right?
And that was
Superhuman.
Yeah,
Subhuman.
that last two.
Superhuman,
Yeah.
exactly. Subhuman is male. Right?
Yeah, that's blokes doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And that is,
Gotcha.
she really struggled on that last 200. Yeah, it's not often I see Sue stop and sight where she's going and swim 100 metres in sight, swim 50 metres in sight.
What were you thinking at that stage? Because obviously there must be some comfort level that you've got Lee next to you on the IRB.
Sometimes
or is this going to cause a
sometimes
divorce?
it's easier to have somebody who's not related on the IRB because they're not as close and not as linked.
Yeah.
Because I kind of worry that he will pull me up before somebody else will.
Yeah.
However, he hasn't, so it's probably an unnecessary worry.
Updated the wool before those swims, yes? Took a second.
You think there's something to gain?
Insurance paid up. Yeah.
Depends on the numbers too.
You think swimming's a cheap game?
Yeah.
Okay, so pros and cons
So-
with having a partner on the safety craft.
It is good because they know you and you can explain your
Yep.
feeding plan and all the rest of that sort of thing, or whatever
Yep.
plan you've got. It annoys me more when it's him and he's not doing what I want him to do than it would be somebody else.
Yeah.
That's more on the training swim, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually not very often that I get to be beside Sue in a
race.
competition. Yeah, so
Okay.
But the
So on the-
2K was the hardest swim I've ever done.
So I haven't supported Sue on any of her long swims.
Okay.
So I've been on the big boat rather than the IRB.
Okay, I'm with you. So you've been with her, sort of observing, but not in close contact, sort of helping with the feeds and that type of thing. Okay, I'm with you. Just to go back to your comment, which is, for me, obviously having done some long swims and some cold swims, I can relate to a certain degree.
Yeah.
But I think to your average Joe out there, it's a bit of a mind-boggling comment that you've just made. So I just want to go back there. Your 2 kilometre swim in the ice
Yep.
was more difficult than swimming 40 kilometres across Lake Taupo.
Yep.
Okay.
And
And
more
more-
difficult than swimming 12 hours across Foveaux
Foveaux
Strait.
Strait. Yeah. Like, in none of the big long swims have I ever felt like I wanted to give up. Foveaux Strait, I had a pain down the back of down my back, which I upset the people in the IRB because I was screaming underwater because that actually made it feel better.
Okay.
And they thought it was an animal coming.
Can you hear the whales?
Oh,
The
inappropriate
whale was
comments.
right beside me. But that probably lasted about half an hour, and then the pain sort of disappeared.
Okay.
It was lucky in Foveaux Strait that we did have fog all around us because I was standing in one place basically, going backwards and forwards, zigzagging and going parallel to shore for the last 5K for probably at least 3 hours.
Yeah.
So I couldn't see that, and that just meant I just kept swimming.
Why did that happen?
We had a pretty good run for the first 5 hours.
Yep.
And then the way the water was moving between Foveaux and Stewart Island, particularly closer to Stewart Island, it's pretty unpredictable in the straits.
Yep.
But Foveaux is quite different from Cook Strait.
Yep.
And the 2 captains that were on board, because Gráinne Moss was doing it at the same time as me,
Yep.
they were saying that this is really unusual what was going on.
Okay.
But also the sea fog just came down and
Okay.
we couldn't see anything at all apart from our own little circle. We had our own little circle. I could see the boat clearly, I could see the IRB clearly.
But
It was
nothing
kind
else.
It was kind of weird.
Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
About 500 metres, so you could see Gráinne's boat, the boat by the side Gráinne come into view and then disappear out, because we're always within a K of each other.
Yep.
So it was, but I could see it on the radar.
That's quite
5
near,
miles, because it was all in nautical miles,
Yep.
and the coast was there 5 miles away, and then you just keep looking at it, and we weren't getting any closer. It was like Bermuda Triangle.
So they're trying to find the right sort of current and the right angle to cut across,
Yeah.
And you don't know this at this stage, you just
I
happily
just keep swimming.
away.
Just like Nemo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just
keep swimming.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right, cool.
Yeah. So when I was doing the 2K in the ice, I swam the first K, no problem.
Yeah.
The going back out again was more of a problem because I couldn't see because the sun was straight in my eyes.
Yep.
And by the time I turned for doing the last 500 got harder as each 100 metres basically got harder.
Yeah. Your whole body's just
And-
seizing up, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Your muscles are just not functioning as well as they should. But I thought my brain was working okay because I could see people clearly on the side, and I could hear what they were saying in the boats, and I thought I was responding okay. And they confirmed that afterwards. So even though I had stopped and done sort of breaststrokey dog paddle stuff for a bit to just psych myself and get going again, my feet stayed up and I was responding. So although they were concerned and they were watching me very, very closely, they thought I would make it okay.
Yep.
And I had in my mind, I'm only 100 metres away. This last 100 metres just seemed to take forever.
Yep.
And it is the first one I've ever felt like quitting.
Okay.
But it was so close. I was like, no, keep going.
Yeah. So
It's
that's the
stubbornness.
furthest that any Kiwi has swum. I think you and Simon Oliver have both done 2Ks.
Yep.
Furthest a Kiwi woman has ever done in the ice.
Yep.
I need to give you a high five for that. I don't think I did that on the day of the swim.
Yeah, because even the Kiwis
you
that
were
are
shivering.
in other countries, that are based in other
Have
countries,
not
not done that.
Correct.
Yeah.
No. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So that's classified as an extreme
Extreme ice mile.
swim.
Yep.
Yep. You going to do that again?
When I came out of it, I said never again.
Yes.
Doesn't everyone when they get out of the ice?
But looking back, I had not done enough training. I was not as fit as I should have been for that. And had I been fitter,
Okay.
it would have been easier.
So
Maybe.
So,
There's always a maybe.
so Sue, is that fitter as in just swim fitter and faster and stronger, or is that acclimatization, getting more and more used to the cold? Which of those is
No,
It was
there's a third factor there, organising the event as well. So the stress of
there was a lot of stress.
build up to the event.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was on an interview like half an hour before I did my swim. Yeah. Which probably I should have just put my phone away and just ignored everybody and made sure that everything was tickety-boo for
it's
my
not easy
swim.
being famous, so.
Yeah. But yeah, it was more swimming fit.
Okay.
I'd been down to Christchurch a few times and done sort of 8-9 degrees, which I think that's enough. And I swam like 4Ks. I went down to Taupo and swam in one of the streams there, which was like 7 degrees. And did...
Do you do
40
ice
minutes.
baths?
No.
Cold
it's
showers?
Stupid. No.
Jim, it's only you and your little clan that believes in all that bullshit. It's so stupid.
But it's not.
Just-
It's not swimming in cold
It's
water.
not so, exactly. Sue and I, we cut from the same cloth. You
It's-
swim happily for as long as you can, and then you just shit off for like 40 minutes on the ice mile, and off you go. It's mental toughness.
Yeah. We all know that I'm just a sook. It's well documented.
But I think some people are more suited to swimming in the ice, both mentally and physically. As I said before, you know, my Taupo upbringing possibly had something to do with it. The fact that I've never worn a wetsuit, apart from
I
a few
believe that
times.
just because you're so headstrong is a massive
Yeah.
factor as well. It's a mental game. It's not a swim.
And I don't get stressed about it. I just
Yep.
get in and do it. And
Yep.
if I don't do it, I don't do it. It's like when we tried to do the Rang Toto Motor Tapu,
Yep.
and we got most of the way round,
Yep.
and the tide and the wind were against us, and we were going nowhere. And it was like, nah, let's call it.
Yep.
Because
It just wasn't our day.
it wasn't our day.
Yeah.
And we got out, and one of the swimmers that was with us said we failed, and I said no, we did not. Because any ocean swim is a risk. You've got all sorts of factors out there. There's no guarantee, and that's why the challenge is so much fun.
2 questions from my side, and then I'm going to give you to Jim. you can't just go back and do another 2K, right? It's got to be further, surely, right? What's the point of doing a 2 kilometre twice, right? So what's 2.1? 2.5? What's the
Butterfly?
What's the plan?
Butterfly? No. I'm afraid my body doesn't. It does do butterfly, but it's not quite as flowing as it used to be.
Doesn't like it.
Yeah.
So aim for a 2 and see how you go. Get a 100 meters further, and it's a bonus.
I will. Yeah, that's a thought and process at the moment.
Okay,
Yep.
gotcha.
Yeah. I'm not committing to that
Gotcha.
yet.
Okay.
Well, the next guy swims in Alexandra in a pool, so
Yes.
2K in a pool.
Tell us about representing New Zealand in France at World Champs.
That was the most amazing thing
Yep.
ever. Like we'd done our ice champs and we got 5 world records, age group records.
You got one of them?
I got 2 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, Quinn got 2 and Joan got 1.
Yeah.
And
Just make a note, we need an autograph when you're done here, please. Just for the-
Quinn came out
Anytime I'll
and
give you an order.
said, Quinn approached us and said, I got some world records, why don't we go to world champs?
Yep.
And I hadn't even thought about world champs. So the world records didn't really sink in until he said that. And I went, oh, actually, I got 2 world records too.
Yeah.
Maybe we should go. And it was a lot of very quick organising and getting flights and picking a team for starters.
Yep.
So we got people to register interest. Pretty much everybody who registered interest got in the team.
Yes.
Including a Malaysian and a Mexican
Yes.
who were living in New Zealand.
Yeah.
And we went over, we did a week's acclimatisation in England with David Coleman in a lake by a castle. It was kind of a bit, from New Zealand perspective, country bumpkin sort of thing, going in there and swimming with this grand castle in the background.
Although that's David Coleman being the dude who swam naked, ice miles, so all relative, right?
Well, at least he finished it naked.
Yeah.
Exactly.
A lot of exposure.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it depends how you view that, really, I guess.
There's not much to expose in ice mile.
Exactly.
But we had our, Jennifer had made a whole bunch of hats, like in the Mike Cochran style.
Yes.
And
Yes.
they had New Zealand on them.
Yep.
And we had gear kitted out by David Coleman over there. And we just looked amazing.
Yeah.
And we performed amazingly.
Yeah.
Like, we were 7th, I think, in the world for gold medal tally.
It's amazing, right? And considering that's the very first time.
Yeah. No, it wasn't per population. That was just 7th overall. For
7th overall, yeah. Per population, you must be way higher, right?
Oh, yeah. And for our first, even, we hadn't even thought about it 6 months ago.
Yeah.
To being in France and competing with everybody in the world.
That's amazing.
And everybody thought we were great, and we gained an awful lot of friends over there, and we learned so much being over there in the organisation.
Yep.
Di was a medic over there.
Yep.
And funnily enough, they were learning from her as much as she was learning from them.
Yep.
And the same, we came away going, actually, our health and safety stuff that we are doing, yes, we can improve on it. We've got some good ideas, but we are doing a bloody good job.
We're pretty solid and ahead of the game,
So we're now on how many committees with? So Di's on a committee, you're on a committee.
I'm on 2.
2.
David Coleman's on 1. Somebody else is on 1 too.
So that's on 4 committees, 4
With
or 5
ISO,
committees
international.
representing, which is amazing, right?
International, yeah.
Do you reckon, just opinion, Ram Barker being the founder of Ice Swimming International, do you reckon you'll ever see ice swimming in the Olympics one day? Winter Olympics?
I would love to see it in the Olympics. I think there's 2 different things there, because when it goes to the Olympics, it is the elite swimmers, so it's basically a lot of swimmers that have either represented their countries in the Olympics, and it's for the young fellas.
Yep.
and it would be amazing.
Yeah.
And I think it would fly quite well.
Yeah.
But it's a matter of getting a country that is willing to put their neck out and saying,
Yeah.
let's give it a go.
Yeah. And be supportive of the whole sort of
Yeah.
logistics and administration behind
Yeah.
trying to get people used to swimming in the ice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's definitely doable, but we've got to also balance that the majority of ice swimmers are 40 or over.
Mm.
And it's the age group swimmers
Yeah.
in all age groups right up to 70 plus
Yeah. Yeah.
that form the backbone of ice swimming, and I would hate to see that get lost if the focus totally became on the Olympics.
Yeah. I agree with you.
Yeah. So,
So
if we can keep both,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. I agree with you. It's I've met some amazingly special and not like special
Like us.
but like
Yeah.
real, not like us. Some amazing people, let's leave it at that, from the ice swimming fraternity, and it's sort of, when you make that bond, it's almost like friends for life type scenario, right? Once you've spent a bit of time and gone through the same experience.
Yeah.
And that was a big eye-opener for me personally, is when we went over to England and worked with David Coleman and the people who's hosted us and supported us there. Their version of ice swimming is to go down once a week or twice a week and do their 200 metres butterfly breaststroke, with their booties, their wetsuit, their bobble hat on, and
that's almost ice dipping as opposed to ice swimming.
Yeah, they're almost shocked that we were actually out there swimming.
Yeah. That's crazy stuff, eh?
Yeah.
So I don't really have any questions. I think really reflecting a lot of what Duncan said, from inspirational is great, but I kind of look at both of you and I see the inspiration coming from both of you, because great swimmers have got great supporters. And everything that Leigh does to support yourself and so many other people really inspires me. I did come down and I had a fantastic time at Lake Linden supporting. Got talked into actually doing more of the swimming myself, but I still enjoy the support, and I see that as just as important. It's a whole group. You talk to really top swimmers, and they'll say, "We did this," because it becomes.
It's a team event.
It's a team event. You might have a single swimmer, but without everybody, it doesn't work, right? So, I really appreciate everything that Leigh does for all of us and for you.
It's not just me though. You just look at St. Bathans here and the number of people we had on shore in boats versus the number of actual swimmers in the water.
But it's always new faces, and your face is always there consistently week in and week out.
Well, I haven't got a new face anymore.
Well, I've got one comment about your face, right? When I first met you, you had the coolest sideburns, right? And I thought, damn, Jim.
That was you know why that was there?
Yes, because you had your
Kim's
daughter's
wedding.
Yes.
And I wasn't allowed to have a beard, so I grew the sideburns.
I was looking for like the Harley Davidson that went with the sideburns, right, and tattoos.
Unfortunately, the motorbike went up in flames after knocked off the.
Okay, well, you've lost at least a point since the sideburns disappeared. So if you can get the sideburns back before the next interview, then we'll focus on you and not
Cool. Yeah. Well, that's it. So
thanks you guys.
Thanks for the chat. Really do appreciate it. And
Any comments? cleverdixnz@gmail.com, and thank you for listening.
in our next episode, we talk to James Hansen Chong, who's very involved in swim events in New Zealand. If you've swum an event in the last 3 years, it's quite likely that he's been involved or looked after you from a safety crew point of view. He gives us a bit of a taste of what's involved in setting up an event, some of the lessons and experiences that he's gained, and things he'd like swimmers to know about. If you enjoy doing swim events, have a listen to this next episode. You'll really enjoy it. Cheers.